Hello and welcome to this episode of RPGGamer Top 5s, and this time we're going to list the top RPGs on the MSX. The MSX was a standardized home computer architecture, announced by Microsoft in June 1983. It was conceived and marketed by Kazuhiko Nishi, the then Vice President of Microsoft Japan, and Director at the ASCII Corporation. Nishi conceived the project as an attempt to create unified standards among various home computing system manufacturers of the period. Nishi proposed MSX as an attempt to create a single industry standard for home computers, inspired by the success of VHS as a standard for video cassette recorders. Any piece of hardware or software with the MSX logo on it was compatible with MSX products of other manufacturers. In particular, the expansion cartridge form and function were part of the standard. Any MSX expansion or game cartridge would work in any MSX computer. The exact meaning of the MSX abbreviation remains a matter of debate. In 2001, Kazuhiko Nishi recalled that many assumed it was derived from Microsoft Extended, referring to the built-in Microsoft Extended Basic, MSX Basic, specifically adapted by Microsoft for the MSX system. Others believed it stood for Matsushita Sony. However, he said the team's original definition was machines with software exchangeability. MSX systems were popular in Japan and several other countries. It's difficult to determine how many MSX computers were sold worldwide, but eventually 5 million MSX-based units were sold in Japan alone. Despite Microsoft's involvement, few MSX-based machines were released in the United States. The MSX standard was widely adopted by mainly Japanese corporations, with Spectra Video, Philips, Sony, Sanyo, Mitsubishi, Toshiba, Hitachi, National, Panasonic, Canon, Casio, Pioneer, Fujitsu, Yamaha, JVC, Gold Star, Samsung, and Sharp, all being among the companies which released MSX systems. Before the great success of Nintendo's family computer, MSX was a platform for which major Japanese game studios, such as Konami and Hudson Soft, produced video games. The Metal Gear, Parodius, Bomberman and Aleste series, for example, were all first written for MSX hardware. And obviously, this also led to many JRPGs on the platform. But enough with the history, let's get on with the countdown. At number 5, the Black Onyx from Bulletproof Software in 1985. The Black Onyx was one of the first successful Japanese language RPGs, selling some 150,000 copies, and it helped familiarize the Japanese public with RPGs. The player can create a 5-member party, or can ask NPCs from friendly encounters to join the party to fill empty slots. The party will explore the dungeons under the town of Utsuro to obtain the legendary Black Onyx. Doing so will break the curse which binds the town in eternal night. The combat system has no concept of distance, so there are no bows or similar missile weapons. There are melee weapons, shields and armour, however. The hospital in town can offer examinations which will display the PC's stats. There is also a bank in the town where the heroes can deposit money. This protects the money from thieves, but there is no interest from putting money in the bank on the deposits, since there is no time system. The labyrinth under the town has several entrances, each one hidden in one of the locations of the town. The labyrinth has 6 floors corresponding to the 6 colours the computer can display. These must be solved in the proper order to create the stairway to the Black Tower, where the Onyx resides. At number 4, Romancia by Nihon Falcom in 1986. Romancia, also known as Dragon Slayer Jr., is an action-adventure game. It is the third in the Dragon Slayer series, preceded by Xanadu and followed by Dragon Slayer 4. Romancia is a simpler and brightly coloured game in comparison to the other Dragon Slayer titles, hence the name Dragon Slayer Jr. The game begins with Prince Fan Freddy outside the castle. As in Xanadu, Fan can speak with the king for some free equipment. The goal is to rescue Princess Selena within 30 minutes. Movement is controlled with the arrow keys, and attacking is done with the action key. Unlike Xanadu, there are almost no statistics, and 0 customization. The game consists largely of 2 screens with a few small sub-areas. The player only has 30 minutes to complete the game, further illustrating the light and accessible nature of the title versus the oppressive underground complexes of Xanadu. Despite this, the game is still rather unforgiving, and the player will likely need to use trial and error or a walkthrough to solve some of the puzzles. At number 3, Fray in Magical Adventure by Microcabin in 1984. Fray is a simple action RPG. The game proceeds by the player character Fray fighting through a preset overhead view map, shooting opposing monsters, jumping over obstacles, and locating power-ups and gold. At the end of each stage, the player will fight a boss, and then enter a town or safe haven, where the player can purchase new equipment, hit points, and has the option to save their progress. Fray advances in power through the items that she can equip, such as different rods and shields. Battles are in real time as Fray walks around on the automatically vertically scrolling game map. She has an attack and defense rating and can switch between different projectile weapon styles, as well as use special attacks and healing items. Fray features a typical high fantasy setting. According to the game world's legends, a great war was fought between the benevolent but weakening ancient gods and a demon race, which led to the collapse and eventual mortality of the gods. Fray is a companion game to the Zack series of games. The story of Fray takes place between the events of the game Zack and during the events of Zack 2. During Zack, Fray was not able to use magic and was more or less a helpless girl that was rescued by the hero of the Zack series, Latop Kart. However, she has now attended a magical university for 3 years to learn how to become a fully fledged sorceress and ventures out on her own adventures. The course of the game takes Fray to several places along the way, including various villages, an ancient ruin, a lake, the centre of a volcano, and a floating fortress. At number 2, Ys, The Vanished Omens by Nihon Falcon in 1987. Ys was a precursor to RPGs that emphasized storytelling. The hero of Ys is an adventurous young swordsman named Adol Kristin. As the story begins, he has just arrived at the town of Minia, in the land of Esteria. He is called upon by Sarah, a fortune teller, who tells him of a great evil that is sweeping the land. Adol is informed that he must seek out the 6 books of Ys. These books contain the history of the ancient land of Ys, and will give him the knowledge he needs to defeat the evil forces. The player controls Adol on a game field viewed from a top-down perspective. As he travels on the main field and explores dungeons, he encounters numerous roaming enemies, which he must battle in order to progress. Combat in Ys is rather different from other RPGs at the time, which either had turn-based battles or manually activated swords. Ys instead features a battle system where fighters automatically attack when walking into their enemies off-center. When one fighter comes into contact with an enemy, damage can be sustained on both sides if both combatants were facing each other. Attacking straight on causes the attacker the most damage to himself, but clipping the edge of the defender causes the attacked fighter to take most or all of the damage. If one fighter contacts the enemy's side or back, only the attacked fighter will sustain damage. This combat system was created with accessibility inside. This bump attack system has become one of the series' defining features. Falcom staff have compared this style of gameplay to the enjoyment of popping air bubble sheets, in the sense that it took the tedious task of level grinding and turned it into something similar to a high score based arcade game. Another feature that has been used in nearly every Ys title since the original is the recharging health mechanism. Recharging health has since become a common mechanism used in many video games today. And at number 1, Snatcher and SD Snatcher by Konami in 1988 and 1990 respectively. Snatcher is a cyberpunk graphic adventure game and was written and designed by Hideo Kojima. Now, Hideo Kojima is a name many people will recognise as the man behind the Metal Gear series of games, such as Metal Gear Solid for the original PlayStation, and the recent Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, released in 2015. Snatcher is set in a future East Asian metropolis where humanoid robots, dubbed Snatchers, have been discovered killing humans and replacing them in society. The player takes on the role of Gillian Seed, an amnesiac who joins a Snatcher hunting agency hoping it will help him remember his past. Gameplay takes place primarily through menu-based interface, which the player can choose to examine items, search rooms, speak to characters, explore a semi-open world, and perform other actions. Heavily influenced by Blade Runner and other works of cinema, Kojima wanted to develop a game with a similar style. The game was pitched as a cyberpunk adventure, but Kojima found it difficult to explain the meaning of cyberpunk to Konami's trademark department over the phone. The game was originally titled Junker, but the name sounded too similar to an existing Mahjong game. The name New Order was also considered. Kojima did not like the final name because his previous game, Metal Gear, was also named after an enemy in the game. Development began and was treated like making a film or anime rather than a game. The game is filled with science fiction and culture references that skirt copyright laws. The team never aimed for the game to have a mature atmosphere, but it naturally progressed in that direction. In addition to fourth wall breaking dialogue in the game, Kojima wanted to print a secret message and a heat-activated scent on the floppy disks that could be noticed after warming them up in the disk drive, but Konami did not approve of this idea. After a year and a half, Snatcher was only half completed, and although originally Kojima had planned 6 chapters, he was told to trim them down to 2. The team wanted to create a 3rd chapter, but were already over the allowed development schedule, so were forced to end the game on a cliffhanger. Development took about 2 to 3 times longer than the average game. Difficulties with memory constraints prompted the staff to take a break during development, at which time Kojima began to explore concepts for his later game, Policenauts. Snatcher was remade into a role-playing game called SD Snatcher for the MSX2, released in 1990. SD stands for Super Deformed in Japanese media, another way to reference chibi character designs. The game plays from a top-down perspective, where the player controls Jillian as he ventures through the environment. When the player encounters an enemy on the field, the game shifts to a first-person battle mode. The player must shoot down enemies using one of his many different guns. Different parts of an enemy can be targeted, and different weapons have varying abilities and ranges. Outside of key plot points, the game significantly changes the locations explored and events which transpired in the original. This game also concludes the story in a similar manner to the CD-ROM versions. Like the MSX2 version of Snatcher, SD Snatcher shipped with the expanded sound cartridge. It was translated by the Dutch-based group Oasis in 1993, making it one of the earliest documented fan translations. But this game is really classic Hideo Kojima, which is why it's our number 1. So that's it for our top 5 RPGs on the MSX. So what did you think? Did you ever have one of these games? Or like us, did you just drool over them in the computer stores of the time? Let us know in the comments below by getting in touch through email or the website. Anyway, as always, many thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing, but most of all, you look after yourselves, and we'll catch you later. Bye!